Now you may find the previous method of solving logarithmic equations a bit difficult. So we have an alternative, and that is to think of the logarithmic function as the inverse of the exponential function. So I'll show you what that means with the same example. So we have 10 to the power of x equals 12. Now, if we were to write a very short value table for this function, okay, we have the function, it's 10 to the power of x, and that means that 12 is one of the function values. So if we have a list of values, a value table like this, then when x is x, then y is 12, right? And we could imagine the inverse of this function. That would mean that, well, for the inverse, this would be true. When the x is 12, the y value takes the same value as the x value of the other function. So we just invert it, right? So you can see that these have swapped places in the inverted function. And that's what the inverse function does. And the function in this case, we know that the logarithmic function is the inverse of the exponential function. So this would have to be an exponential, this would have to be a logarithmic function. So that would be the logarithm of x. But here, in this case, x is 12. So that would be a way of solving this equation then. So if 10 to the power of x equals 12, then x equals log 12. This also works for our second example, which is the equation ln x equals 3. So function is a logarithmic function, the natural logarithm of x, and we could write a value table for that. So whenever x is x, y is 3, so that's the function value of ln x. We could invert this function, which would give us, we would just invert the values, so whenever y equals x, x equals 3. And the function in this case, we know that the exponential function is the inverse of the logarithmic function. So this would be, since this is the natural logarithm, it would be e to the power of x. Well, x in this case is actually 3, so we would write e to the power of 3. So let's put that in quotation marks. So with the equation ln x equals 3, we get that x equals e to the power of 3. So an alternative way of solving logarithmic equations.